What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, the ITB Paladin. Don't mind the messy hair and the messing back here. That had to do with work, so I have to go sift through that. And this is my guitar, which I actually just got restringed today. I broke a string like a month ago, and I just restringed it. Sounds amazing. I might actually make some music videos while we're on that topic. But I want to share something. Is that the whiteboard? Yeah, it was. Yeah, I got a complete mess. But jokes aside, so the season 8, there's a posting from the director's take, is what I'm understanding. Whoops. Probably could have set that up a little bit quicker. Let's see. Here we go. Done on that. There we go. Perfect. So, let me shift this back over to here. There we go. Okay, so there's a director's take for the balance of Season 8. I've been out on running an errand all day, so I just decided let's make a quick video since they're talking about it. Let's have a look. So this is one of the 2 remaining director's take blogs for 2023. We'll release another one in the 2 weeks and take the last part of the year off for the holiday season. We're going to bypass this because I think they're just talking about Season 8 balance patch changes. We're making a general change to the amount of ult charge retained when swapping heroes, reducing it from 25% to 15%. I'll talk about my feelings at the end of it. I'll cover everything. We do like this mechanic. We do like that this mechanic removes friction when swapping heroes and think it should still be at 15%. However, there's a perception that it's almost always an advantage to counter swap upon dying, and we're lowering this value to see if it has an effect on swap rates. So they're experimenting with it. You know there is an experimental card that you could reintroduce for this, but you know, whatever. Let's look at some changes coming in for Season 8. Those are the words, not mine. We released a reworked Roadhog late in Season 7, and Roadhog quickly became one of the top performing tanks with a win rate of around 54%. There's been a lot of feedback around his kit, but we're going to hold off on making any changes at the start of Season 8. Mauga has a lot of answers to Roadhog, and we'd like to see where the meta sits or settles a bit before aiming at the mid-season patch for balance adjustments. There are times when Doomfist players use his ultimate purely as an escape. This is a little disappointing to activate Meteor Strike and intentionally land on a health pack rather than on enemy players. Starting in Season 8, Doomfist will now regenerate 75 health per second while in the air. Wow. They're just going to hold that off until he's at full health. Make it 50 health per second. Jeez. I'll hold off my opinions, like I said, but dang, 75? No, they're just going to hold it. We're slightly increasing the cost of the ult in order to compensate for the buff. Okay, there's the balance. Tanks are supposed to take and create space, and when Ramattra is in his base form, he can be a little too easy to ignore. So we're going to shift 100 of his health to armor, as well as slightly increase the size and damage of his projectiles to see if it helps. So they're not giving exact numbers. I'm sure we're going to have a look at that later. I'll see if I can find a balance patch page on this. Winston isn't the best matchup for other tanks. This is part of his kit, but the disadvantage feels too extreme, and we'd like to alleviate it a bit. Tesla Cannon will now ignore armor's damage reduction. Oh, they're making him. They're cooking something for Winston. Jeez. Moving to a few changes to our DPS heroes. Ooh, excuse me. I saw Soldier 76 just beneath Sombra. I was just having a look while I burped. Moving on to a few changes. Let's start with Sombra. She's been moving. She's had a lot of moving parts recently, and we feel that she's in a much better spot. Her win rate hovers between 45 and 48, depending on rank. However, her ultimate isn't as satisfying as it could be, so we're going to raise the ability lockout time of her EMP by 1.5 to 3 seconds and reduce the amount of damage it does from 30 to 25 of maximum. This brings her ultimate more in line with her hero fantasy and is much sharper in its effect. I don't know what that meant by hero fantasy. Whatever. Soldier 76. Okay, so, oh my god, I don't know what they're going to do with him. I just don't like it whenever they mention him. Has enjoyed a lot of success in Season 7. I haven't, and I came back. He's a really well-rounded DPS, true, and the self-sustain from his heal can make him really... Huh? I'll go over that little troll in like 2 seconds. What are the... No! That... So they're increasing the cooldown instead of changing the healing. First off, the healing is useless. It's just overall useless. And now you're going to increase the cooldown. The one utility he has to self-rely on himself. Oh, it's harder to kill him. No. What's hard to kill is people who know how to play their freaking corners. It's not the... His thing doesn't need it. He doesn't need this nerf. He doesn't need that cooldown increase. He doesn't need it. Does anybody remember how much damage the Tracer's pulse pistols do? I wouldn't blame you if you don't. We've changed them a lot. If you guessed 5.5, you'd be right, but not for long, because we're changing them again. Back to 6. The previous change to 5.5 was to offset a bug with their fall off and spread, but now that the bugs are fixed, they're moving it back to previous value. Support changes. Brigitte is the best performing support hero since the last patch, and we're seeing your feedback that she's becoming a must pick. We're going to revert the damage to Whipshot to try and bring her back in line. We're also looking at damage potential of Baptiste, and we'll be lowering his primary fire ammo from 45 to 36. 3 burst shot, 336. So it's like 6 times 6. Yeah, well, I'll look at those numbers later. I'd like to touch on one of the items mentioned in the last director's take, specifically the leave rate and quick play. I don't know if it would be considered a spicy take per se, but I got a take. Give me like 2 seconds to read what they mention. Based on a recently implemented set of penalties for leaving too many matches, that the rate has gone down considerably. There's been a bit of talk around that, specifically that some people view that mode as something that they would like the freedom to leave without worrying about those penalties. Different people play quick play for different reasons. Some people see it as their try-hard version of the game. Some view it as a way to experiment with heroes, and others use it as their casual, just-for-fun version of the game. It's really difficult to have this part of the game to be all things for all people. In the past, we've talked internally about whether we need a third main queue in the game in order to have different areas to serve people with different levels of seriousness, but I don't think that players would voluntarily move to the appropriate queue for their particular playstyle. In regards to penalties for leaving quick play matches, the reason behind this is that the frequent leavers do have an effect on other people in the match, degrading its quality. There are some players that literally leave over 90% of their matches, and we would no longer stick to a black and white policy because of this. We could no longer, The policy is still very lenient, probably too lenient, where players need to leave almost a quarter of their most recent matches to trigger a light penalty. Right. We'll continue to look at this and tweak those policies in an attempt to promote better match quality without harsher restrictions of ranked play. That's it for this week. Thanks for reading, and we'll see you in game. So I don't see the balance. Yeah, it's not showing up here. There's no PTRs anymore. Last one was in 2021. No more experimental cards since 2022. Beta obviously doesn't have anything. Here we go, forums. It's in general discussion. Some players literally leave over 90% of the matches. Oh my lord. Okay. Oh, and then there's one for the soldier thing. Okay, so let's go back on this. Let's go back into here. Okay, so we're going to have I'm going to just go over like the few things. So number one, concerning the heroes. So for Roadhog and Mauga, I mentioned in the previous video that I like Mauga. He seems very balanced to fight against. He doesn't seem like he'd be too overpowered unless he was in the right hands. So we really have to wait until we get some major play time. And mine was based on a few matches with him. But I didn't hate him. He was shockingly well balanced. That when he was oppressive, it wasn't like, oh, I want to throw my controller through a wall. But when he was also pretty easy to go up against. It's kind of easy to... I guess it might need more playtime, but I don't really hate him. The only real complaint that I had was his ultimate that should fade out when he goes. But we'll wait to see if they actually made that change or not before I start complaining about nothing. But Roadhog has been pretty oppressive. Everybody's been playing him, and it's been pretty hard to get him down. I have noted that a lot of the issue really goes into getting rid of the supports, because it's easy to take him out when he's got no sustain. But as long as you've got two support heroes literally pocketing him and he can go freely do whatever he wants, with little to no restriction, that's where he becomes the problem. Honestly, the easiest fix is just to target his supports, but nah. We'll talk about that in another video. Doomfist, purely as escape tactic. I think, again, my opinion would be to lower that health per second regeneration down to 50. I don't think 75 is good. He shouldn't be getting, like... It seems to me like, if I recall correctly, his ult lasts for about 6 to 8 seconds. So for 2 seconds, it's 150 HP. So 450 HP, he's nearly back at full. I think at 50, it would generate that he gets enough healing, because he's not going to be all the way down to 0 and then getting only that. Unless you probably do, but the chances of that happening are going to be slim, because more times than not, you're going to be in the middle. But either way, for Ramattra, I don't hate that. I actually like that. Winston seems interesting. We got to see if that makes him too powerful. And then for the DPS heroes, Sombra's been kind of an issue. I think there's only one thing that I would fix about her kit currently, because it's not that bad. I would delay the time it takes for her to go stealth, and I would... Yeah, that's really it. Everything about her kit's pretty good. I don't hate it. She could stand to go into stealth a little slower, because it's hard to keep up with her, and for her to essentially just dive into a 5-play, throw her translocator, immediately turn invisible, and just get a get-out-of-jail-free card seems a little too strong. Especially since they're just increasing Soldier's heal output. Let me just quickly put that on there. The problem with this kit, he is well-balanced, but I can tell you that in a majority of my matches playing Soldier 76, that it's very hard to get support players to focus on you when they want to focus on their tanks. Everybody now focuses on the tank. And that's right. That's correct. They should focus on their tanks. The tanks are literally the meat and bones of any team composition, and they engage and disengage team fights, as well as make space and push forward, and they control the tempo for the most part. So they should be the focus of healing. But for as hard as it is, Soldier... So, like, every single time you go into a pro thing, like, oh, utilize your running, take those advantageous angles, go up onto high ground, they give you all this advice. This is one of his only self-sustaining abilities, and you're gonna nerf it by increasing the cooldown on one of his most important. And on top of that, you've already nerfed it, like, twice before. So what exactly is he benefiting from this? Are you also extending the healing from 5 seconds to 6 seconds? You better be, because if you don't, then 5 seconds of healing waiting for, what was it, 13-second cooldown? Big brain moment right there. Tracer's pulse pistol? She had the bug. I don't know if it's still valid. I'm not playing Tracer anymore, so I really don't have an opinion on that. I mean, to just round it up to 6, I guess, is better, but it does basically mean she's now got better output, so we should be seeing her more. I'm going to see about picking her up at some point, but maybe not immediately. And then lastly, going for Begita and Baptiste. So Baptiste, I don't hate that. 36 ammo from 45 is going to be a little iffy. I know what they're talking about on the damage potential. They want him to heal more. And Baptiste has been always very weird to play, as and against. Brigitte, she's in a love-hate relationship with the community. And last but not least, these leaving penalties. I'm going to leave this video off on this general opinion. So the leaving penalty, to me, I think it's a little too harsh. What I would do, why is my camera so weird? What I would do is set the penalty on quick play. Leave it as is, but a 3-strike system. And when you hit each tier, it gets a little bit more severe. So maybe after like 5 matches, I don't remember how many matches they do it, like 3 or 5, I don't remember. But 3 or 5 matches, 5-minute penalty, 10-minute penalty for second strike, and third strike might be a 30-minute penalty. I don't want to be... I understand it stops leaving, but it should be progressive. Leading into something more severe, and a 10-minute thing is not fair. 10-minute leaving time? Too long. I just turn off the game. 5 minutes. 5 minutes is a lot more doable, because 5 minutes is literally the length you can go into a training range and warm up your aim and just take a break from actually playing it, 5 minutes is a lot more reasonable. I hope that they obviously alleviate that 10 into 5 and then make 10-minute one like second tier penalty. Which leads me into competitive. If they decide to do that, I think that they would also benefit from doing it this way as well. First time leavers penalty, that one could be 10 minutes. Second tier penalty can be 30 minutes. And third strike penalty would be remainder of the season. This is competitive, by the way. I hear my daughter crying. It's fun. She's going to pop it in the room. No, she's not. Oh, that's surprising. Yeah, so don't make it like a ban the entire account, but ban it for the season. And then keep a little tick on a flag on their account. If they've done it like a couple of times throughout the seasons, then you cut off the account and be like, okay, if you're just leaving every other season like multiple times, then we're just going to shut down the account because you're obviously you're just not going to play competitive anymore. My idea, I could probably visualize this. I'll talk about it another time. Be sure to troll me in the comment section. This is a very weird video. I'm very shot right now, and again, I have a bunch of errands. My mind is racing. I'll stop while I'm ahead. You let me know your thoughts on the entire developers post, and if something comes up, I'll make a video on it. You guys have a good one. Peace out.